Okay, folks, here we are back again. Our T-34 project here continues. We did a wash last night after we painted these guys overall. Dry brushed this Russian green. We gave them an Agrax Earthshade wash, and I also noticed that one of these sides of the running gear I did not paint. This one. So that's what happens when you rushed. So that's where we pick up, and we'll have to give that side an Agrax Earthshade, but we can work on some on the other tank instead. I want to see one of these guys completed. See what this looks like. All right, this shouldn't take very long because there's not much to it. Interesting thing is this. Look at the color green we have here, and after I rinse the brush, look at the green that got left on there. So there's some kind of this wild, bright green pigment in this color somehow. That's it. That's all we got to do with that. We're going to let that dry. I'm going to sit on by itself. That one needs the Agrax Earthshade on it. Okay, so the rest of these, these other two, will be the ones that we can start the regular process, which is going to be dry brush this core color back on it. And we're actually going to go ahead and use the let's go use the paint palette for this, because we're going to have to mix a little bit of color the next color on up. And we'll see if anybody joins us tonight. Had a good group of guys on here yesterday, and had to cut off. Well, that's what happens when real life stuff gets in the way. So. Unlike many of you guys, I've got other people I live with. Oh, what the hell was that? Jesus Christ. All right. Let's take that mouse out of there. I got half a mind to buy a smaller one of these. This just takes up way too much real estate. Way too much real estate. Mr. Waddy, I see I'm left-handed today. Shouldn't be. I'm never left-handed. I shouldn't have to flip this thing. We're back to normal. Oh well, I'll just be left-handed. I've fought with humans all fucking day long today. I don't need to fight with machines, too. Tried to watch a movie with my daughter a little while ago. That's what we were planning on doing, and it just didn't work because I can't watch programming anymore without subtitles. I can't understand things that people say. I just can't understand it. It's like, oh, what the hell did he say? Turn it all the way up, still can't understand it. So subtitles are out of sync. Minus 13 in Scotland? Holy hell. Hi. Wow. Gonna need some whiskey to warm you up there in that kind of weather. Yeah, as I like to say, technology is great when it works. When it doesn't, I wish it hadn't been invented. It's just another frustration. This is why I paint. Until that one day I wake up and I don't know how a paintbrush works. I pretty much stick to this kind of stuff. Not like, oh yeah, your internet doesn't work. You can't do what you're always doing. -13. Well, I'm under the weather today. I feel like, I guess technically it's called post-nasal drip. I call it pepper throat. I've always called it pepper throat because that's what it feels like. And it's totally due to the weather changing. So I took an Allegra. I don't think that I have any allergies, but I think probably everybody has allergies. And when the weather changes, in this case, it changes for the better. But makes you feel like you're thirsty all day long. Started off as a rainy day. Supposed to get some cooler weather this weekend. We'll see if that happens. I'm not holding my breath. -13. That's -13 centigrade, I bet. Yeah, it's a cold Christmas in Australia this year. 72 today. Oh, Mr. Heine, welcome. Welcome back. Yeah, you guys have Christmas at the wrong time of year. I guess you're used to it. I guess it'd be, that seems alien to us, but I guess you're used to it. It's been 85 degrees here before on Christmas Day. That's just, talk about not getting in the spirit of something. That would do it. That would do it for me. It's really cold when you go to bed with your clothes on. Well, hold on a second. Let me do some quick math. I'm actually okay with a metric system, okay? It's the temperature that's hard to fathom. So right off the bat, -13 degrees centigrade is actually warmer than -13 degrees Fahrenheit, right? Because 32 in Fahrenheit is 0 centigrade. So the question is -13 colder than -30 Fahrenheit? I think -13 Fahrenheit is actually colder. I don't know. I was reading the Russian front stuff, this book that I'm almost finished with about the post-Operation Typhoon, and the Russians are counterattacking outside of Moscow, and the temperature is -60 degrees centigrade. And that's got to be like -40 Fahrenheit. It's still cold either way you cut it. And it's in Russia, so it's not pleasant. 8.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. Yeah, I have trouble with. I have trouble visualizing metric. I don't like metric. I don't like metric temperature. Yeah, it makes sense. 0 to 100, right? It makes sense. 0 to 100. 100 is boiling point. 0 is freezing. It makes sense for a chemist. Now, for somebody who's not a chemist, what type of temperatures do you talk about on your daily travels? You don't ever talk about anything over 45 degrees centigrade because you'd be melting. you'd be like a melted Snickers bar. 40's about the hottest it ever gets, unless you live somewhere really extreme or you jump in an oven or something like that. So you've got 60 from 41 to 100. You don't even use. You don't use it in your daily language. It's like you don't ever talk about anything over 110 degrees Fahrenheit. You just don't. So anyhow, I guess you get used to it. I like kilometers. I do like metric. I do like meters and stuff. I can deal with it. It's just a visualization thing. Oh well. It still beats driving on the wrong side of the road, though, guys. I can't deal with that. Oh, man. Shifting with your left hand. Get out of here. Just get out of here. So these early model T-34s, there's some unique stuff to them. I think they're some of the best looking T-34s, okay? Just visually, they look pretty good. However, there's always a however, or a but. They don't have a lot of markings. And you look for pictures of them, and there's not a lot of examples of markings either. I got to be careful. This is actually the 41 one. It has the little round. I think that's actually where you put the fuel in. But there's a couple of model kits, UM and Dragon in particular, which I actually found out today. I always called Dragon DML. Because when I worked on the hobby store in the early 90s, it wasn't called Dragon, it was DML. And DML and Unimodel will make a kit, a model, and give you like 7 or 8 different forms of decals for it. So we're actually going to try to attempt to paint not because I can't do it, just because it may not come out as neat as I might want it to. Paint the decals, hand paint them on these Russian tanks. And if I absolutely hate how it turns out, well then I'll order decals. Now here's the difference between the two. And then after we're done with this, we'll mix a little bit of dark sand and we'll do the dry brushing on top of that. But anyhow, so if you look at pictures of these early T-34s, almost all of them have no markings on them. I mean, like none. And that's just boring. But there's a couple of manufacturers that make kits in this scale. Technically, I guess I could look at the 1/35th scale ones as well, but in 1/72nd scale, Unimodel and Dragon both make a T-34 model 1940. And each one of those kits has about 6 to 7 different tank markings that it comes with. Now, I'm not really interested in buying the kit because I've got, I think, somewhere between 8 and 10 of these for every single model of the T-34. So I don't need any more. And these are 1/76 scale, unfortunately. I prefer 1/72nd, mainly because the figures are out of scale. They tend to be on the large size, and if the vehicles are on the large size, they look better with the figures, in my opinion. But I interchange both of them, so it's not like I'm not going to use these or anything. But I digress. They have 7 or 8 different markings for each one of these vehicles, and there's places you can go online and see what decals come with them. So I'm probably going to paint some of those. They're not complicated. Almost all of them just have numbers, or they'll have some slogan, or both. They're not really complicated. So that's what we're going to plan on doing, is we're going to plan on hand painting them. And if I really hate how they look, then, you know, I guess I could buy some aftermarket ones. But there aren't really any aftermarket ones for the 1940 T-34. I've looked. Short of buying either a Dragon kit or a Unimodel, because those each have like 6 to 8 different examples of them. Okay, let's see what you guys said. It's subarctic weather, and it's not into January yet. That's generally the colder month. It has dropped down. The coldest month here generally is February, early February. It has dropped down to negative 27 Celsius in the past. I have trouble with feet when you're in large numbers, like for altitude. I can visualize 6 feet, but not 6,000. Interesting. I have to convert to kilometers for altitude. I'm actually okay with meters and kilometers. I don't like... Here's what I don't like about the metric system. And I don't know if you can visualize this. I actually like it. Like if I'm designing a World War II game, I talk about things in meters. You know, that's 50 meters away, 100 meters away. I don't talk about inches. Meters is definitely the, you know, for if you're doing like land combat, I'm good with meters. The meter, the actual unit, is just too big. And what I mean by that is, there's lots of things that you describe in your daily activities that's less than 39 or so inches. And decimeters basically don't get used. So you use centimeters. So you end up having a very large number, like you end up using, you know, a very large number to describe something that's about 18 inches long. But I think they should have just done decimal feet. They should have just said, okay, this is the foot, but we're not stupid. We're not dividing it by 12. We're going to divide it by 10, which is engineering scale. At least here in the United States, that's engineering scale, and they should have gone with that. You know, decimal is the way to go. There's no doubt about it. You know, this 3/64ths is moronic. That's just moronic. Decimal is the way to go. And kilometers per hour, that's almost the same damn thing. But don't you guys in the UK, you guys actually use like, what do you guys use? You guys use like some of one and none of the other. You use like, you guys use like liters in gasoline, but you still use miles an hour and for speed, or I don't know. Kilometers per hour is real easy to figure out. Distance in kilometers is real easy to figure out. Metric height is really easy in Florida. It's never over 100. I think the tallest point in Florida is like 200 and something feet over sea level. What a Lowlanders, all of us. You got Plastic Soldier and GHQ T-34s and prefer the metal. Although they're harder to build, they have a lot more detail and paint up better. It's T-34 Thursday. There we go, Rick. Where you been? You still use Imperial mostly in the UK. Well, you guys invented it, right? Don't be bashful. What was it? Yeah, one of these days I get a hold of some Plastic Soldier stuff. We'll see. Seems to be a curse to be able to get it. I don't know what's going on with those folks that do the Plastic Soldier company, but they're always out of stuff. There must be a small mom and pop operation that makes it difficult for distributors to get stuff in their hands. I don't remember if I did this running gear or not, so we'll do it. Not a big deal. Plastic versus white metal. So here's my thoughts on it. I don't have a preference. So I like the weight of metal, but I would much rather use weld cement than epoxy. Epoxy is just a pain in the ass. I also don't like the fact that I can drop this on the ground and it could really damage itself. Whereas if it was a plastic thing, it probably isn't going to damage itself. So I'm okay with plastic tanks. I'm not okay with plastic figures. I just don't think that they hold the paint that well. I'm worried about them flexing. Maybe it's just I like white metal figures. Now, these things really creep me out because I don't remember the last time I handled something that was white metal like this stuff and my hands were all gray. So this has a very high content of lead that we're not used to seeing anymore. And I'm a little creeped out by it. Lots of people are scared of COVID stuff. I'm not. I'm scared of freaking putting lead shit in my mouth. I don't want to go crazy. Is that what lead makes you do? Go crazy? This stuff doesn't have a wash on this side. I can't tell that much of a difference. I'm just gonna roll with it. We're gonna dirty these bastards up anyways. So there's no time for cleaning tanks in a communist country. In Soviet Russia, tank cleans you. So yeah, I was kind of creeped out. Handling. And I've had lead miniatures for a while, and I guess if it was going to affect me. But, different people are scared of different stuff. And we're not used to it anymore. Just like you don't get, you get out of the habit of seeing things, and it just ends up becoming something alien. Like, smoking in a restaurant. Road signs in UK, it's all in miles. Yeah, you guys need to pick something. I'm surprised. You know what I'm really surprised? I'm surprised that they drive on the same side of the road in England as they do in Ireland as they do in England. I thought you guys were like mortal enemies. Nah, it's all good. I actually could probably drive on the wrong side of the road, but not a shifting vehicle. That's just asking for a problem. That's just asking for a problem. Honestly, I've been around, mostly lurking, at least during the evening streams, even Gates of Hell streams. Oh, so you saw some of that crazy stuff happen. Even Nordic's like, haven't seen Rick, and I'm sitting here going, yeah. Oh, well, he's just trying to bait you to come out. Yeah. That Gates of Hell is something else, man. I got that one thing, it was like right out of a movie. My guys are sitting there, and they get flamed by a T-26 flamethrower. And we knock it out. And I sneak a guy over there to freaking hotwire it. And as soon as I get it going, ends up getting it flamed by somebody else. And it's on fire trying to get it back to my own lines. And the guy survived and everything, but there's some crazy stuff. But that's the kind of games I like to play. I like to play kind of games that insane narratives develop. Like you can't make this stuff up. Insane narratives happen. Yeah, a flamethrowing tank get attacked by another flamethrower. That's like you driving by an accident and there's a fire truck that's on fire or something like that. The irony is just, you You just shoveled for the first time this season. We got our first sticking snow today. Yeah, it got engulfed and the guy escaped too. What I couldn't believe is I had that Mark III with a 50mm gun with the HVAP ammo, and it still couldn't penetrate the KV-2 at point blank range. I don't think that's right. I think that's broken. You should be able to penetrate a KV-2 at point blank range with a 50. You just don't have very many of those rounds. You might have 3 or 4 of them if you're lucky. And, you know, it's literally like 10 feet away, you know. But think you haven't gone mad, but you're sitting there talking about painting T-34s while we're watching you crochet booties. It's all good. Well, you know, I spend all day not being able to talk to anybody about this cool hobby I have. Nobody at work gets this. Nobody at work even wants to talk about history. You know? People out in the real world I ran some games at a pub. We actually found a pub here in town. It's a really cool place, and we ran some games, and not a single person off the street walked by and said, "That's strange. I have my wedding ring on, but no other ring in the other one." No gray area. Both rings or none. Nobody stopped by and said, "Hey, what you got going on here?" Like, I've played at the airport waiting on a plane, and nobody's come by and said, "Oh, that's kind of cool," or asked about the figures or nothing. There's no hope for the human race. You know? Okay. So these guys are all done. We're going to pick our guinea pig, which will be this guy right here. We're going to mix some dark sand with it. Should be this one, or pretty close to this one. Nope, that's buff. Close. That's its kissing cousin. Skeleton bone. That's not it either. All right, what about this guy up here? Iraqi sand. Nope. Is it this one that's over here in the grays? Probably. There it is, dark sand. Darkened sandin. We're going to go ahead and retire this brush for the moment being, and let's use one that we have a little bit, that we haven't damaged the bristles as much. This one should be fine. Yep. Yeah, so I spend all day not talking to anybody about this stuff. You know, so that's where you guys come in. We can talk about history and gaming and that kind of stuff, and, you know, the stuff that makes us all tick. A little bit of that. This cough that just will not go away. And after I'm done eating, I have like a cough attack. And then I'll be fine like all day. So I don't know what it is. Actually, I was talking a little bit about pepper throat. It's pretty much gone now. I took an Allegra, so it's definitely environmental related. And I don't know that I have any major allergies, but other than penicillin. And it doesn't make me feel bad. I just break out like a leper. Use my wife's old blusher brushes for dry brushing. They do a really good job. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people do that kind of stuff. Yeah, I've heard that works out well for a lot of people. I haven't tinkered with it yet. All right, we're going to add a little bit of this buff. Sorry, dark sand. And we're just going to lightly highlight some of the running gear. And of course the edges. And make sure all the edges get spoken for. And then we'll drop a little Nuln Oil wash there on those gratings to darken them up a little bit more. And of course, all this stuff will end up getting the colors that are in the base splattered up on here. But that'll be after, we put the decals on. We paint the decals on. We're painting them. Actually, I got some Red Star. I've got some pretty good decals, but I want to kind of follow examples that they use these on these tanks, and should be able to do okay hand painting them. I'll tell you what, I've really been enjoying working on these tanks the last couple months. No regrets. So I don't know when we'll get back to doing 15s, but I have a feeling it's not going to be anytime soon. And I don't feel guilty about it. I didn't touch this stuff for 20 years, so. So we finally finished watching that weird movie last night, Jojo Rabbit. What a strange movie. I'd have to say I didn't like it. And honestly, the worst thing about it was the non-period specific music. I know that sounds stupid, but that's what I hate about Kelly's Heroes. So, had some funny moments, but I'd mentioned it to my daughter, and she's like, "Yeah, I don't mind watching that." You're both kind of of the same opinion. We were going through the Santiago, Chile airport with miniatures in my carry-on. The customs officer looks at them closely and asks, "Are they Napoleonic Bavarians?" That's how I found the local club. I went through TSA one time with some Romans, and the guy asked, "Are they medieval knights?" And I don't remember what I told him, but I basically said, yeah, whatever. Leave me alone. Get me out of here. Yeah, maybe they got smarter folks there in Santiago. Doesn't surprise me. It's funny how you mention one place and certain things stick in mind. Like you said, Chile. The very first thing that I think of when somebody says Chile, and I mean the country, is that mining accident. Like those miners stuck in the ground. That's the first thing I think of. Never been to South America. It's just too damn far away. It's as far away from us as Europe. Some places even farther. Might as well go to Europe. Which we're supposedly due to go to in about a year. We'll see. Never been. I know I'll go to Europe, I'll be more interested in the history than the locals. You got slushy snow here. You're sore from shoveling it. What happens if you just didn't shovel it? What if you're just like, Mother Nature, screw you. You're not making me work. I'm not cleaning up your mess, Mother Nature. How am I doing tonight? I'm all right. Ready for the weekend. Found some ideas on how to decal these guys, so I'm excited about getting them finished. You get fined real heavily. What if you like work from home? Your favorite model builder is live. Me? I was like, who is he? Maybe I'll subscribe to his channel. I don't know. I like to watch a lot of people, but you know what? I don't like watching things that are heavily edited. I'm just wondering, like, what am I really watching? Like, you know, when reality TV started becoming a thing however many years ago, the concept sounded really interesting, right? Like, you're gonna have TV taping and we'll see what happens. Oh no, it's heavily edited and you know, desired outcomes are planned, and that's just hokey. That's just hokey stuff. So there are some modelers that I've seen do really interesting stuff, but it's almost all edited. That just takes too much work. You know, if I'm editing videos, I'm not creating stuff to eventually play at some point. And you know, you're going to see me make mistakes on here, unfortunately. But you know, you can't fix your mistakes if you never make any. So, you know, there's an upside to everything, I guess. Or there's an upside to that. I'm just glad that in doing, what have I done? Maybe 15 vehicles now. I'm really happy how they've turned out. I was concerned that I wasn't going to be happy with the results because I'm looking for something that's realistic, but not uber realistic. You know, I don't want to do paint chipping, and I appreciate the guys that do paint chipping and stuff, and it looks really good, but it just doesn't match the look of the figures. You know, I mean, if I'm gonna put paint chips on tanks, then I need to put, like, you know, soil stains on the kneecaps of the figures and stuff. I mean, it just, at some point you have to, like, you know, these are playing pieces, and I'm glad that it didn't take me long to find a look I was happy with. As like I said, that's the hard thing as being a painter is to be happy with your own stuff. And you end up being your own worst critic, but I guess if you don't take it easy on yourself, that's not good either. So if you don't take, you know, if you're not hard on yourself, you try to do better. So I'll see stuff on the internet that I like a lot better than mine. I'm like, okay, all right, that's how it's going to be. All right, we need to up our game. You know, I do it as a challenge. You know. Oh, here we go. Oh man, I missed a bunch of stuff. Was sleeting too, and I made snow heavier than normal would have been. By law, oh shit, you're required to clear your sidewalk because if someone falls and hurts themselves, you get sued. What if you're a little old lady? What if you're like a 85-year-old lady that lives in an apartment and has nobody to clear it and can't afford somebody to clear it for her. You gonna sue little old lady? I think we need to do away with lawsuits and go back to doing duels. Put lawyers out of business. I have a 90-some-year-old neighbor who pays me, okay, here we go, to mow her lawn, retains me for winter services with snow, so I had a lot of sidewalk to shovel and a driveway. Watch to learn. I've done all my Russians a while ago, but it's always nice to see another person's perspective. Now fit in my elbows, shoulders. Ouch. You know tanks more than I do. Why were the German tanks in earlier years of the war gray? So supposedly, it is so they would blend better in black and white aerial reconnaissance. So if they went over, that's what I heard. I just thought it looked cool, you know. German tank. I like German tanks in gray. They match the uniforms better. You know, it makes sense. But supposedly, that's what I read somewhere recently, and don't ask me where, but I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, it kind of makes sense. You take aerial photography, and you're like, where is the Panzers? I don't know. You know, they're all gray. But I don't know if that's true or not. That's just what one source said, but I like them. I like how they look in gray. I do like how they look in gray. That doesn't mean I won't paint the other ones. I just think that it matches. They match better. You know, and some things just look weird. Like you can't just paint a. I saw somebody did a diorama with some Panthers, and they were just kind of screwing around. And the Panthers were painted in Panzer gray, and it just looked wrong. I mean, it was like sleeping with your sister. You know, it was just like wrong, painting a Panther in gray. Apartments have a person to do that. If you own or rent a house, you're required by law to do it. I'm going to stay down here in the South where there's some more freedom and people leave you alone. I'm a big fan of living in suburbia. That's where I live. That's where I've always lived. I grew up in suburbia. Not a big city, not in the boondocks. Suburbia. I'm a big fan of that. But in this last year, I finally understood why people move out to the sticks, because sometimes you just get a neighbor who has a lot more vehicles than there are people in the house. Okay? And they block the entire road to the neighborhood. And I try to pull it, you know, like we have 3 vehicles here. I have my own, my wife has hers, and my daughter has hers. And we park them all in our driveway, and we kind of, you know, we get out of people's way. You know, I don't want them on the road because it blocks the road, and some moron can come in and hit your vehicle. I don't want my vehicle getting hit. But I got a guy across the street who has like 4 vehicles, 2 of them being very large trucks, and they just park them all on the road. And sometimes it's a challenge to pull out and stuff like that. So I understand why people move out in the sticks. But you're not doing a good job of selling the Yankee life. The British had a photo recon Spitfire painted pink. Seemingly it was harder to spot. Pink, huh? That's one good way to ruin a beautiful plane. Sometimes entrepreneurial neighborhood kids will go door to door and offer to do it. I'm feeling especially lazy. I'll pay the kids to shovel. Some days I'm feeling super lazy and no kids come by, so I have to drag my happy ass out there and do it. One thing I won't do is I won't rake. I had a bad childhood experience raking. We had this live oak in the back of the house that I grew up in, and it was 107 bags of leaves. Just one time. I'm like, I'm not doing it again. You know, I don't care how many gloves you have, you will freaking destroy yourself. It's not worth it, you know. Your neighbor gives you $25. Do you claim that on your taxes? You know, by law, you're supposed to. By law, you're supposed to. Don't worry, I won't tattle on you, because I don't think you should have to. I think you should be taxed once. Tax your income or what you buy. Pick one or the other, not both. I had to rake yesterday. Eventually, I gave up and tried using the lawnmower, but one of the belts went loose and caused the blades to stop spinning, so I couldn't just mulch the leaves up. You refuse to answer that question. Oh, man. Well, that's what you do. You just get people to pay sales tax on stuff. So if you get paid under the table, you know, you're still going to end up paying your fair share of taxes, because unless you just sit on that money and never buy anything with it, you know, what's the good in having money if you don't buy anything with it? You're going to pay your fair share in taxes, but they'd find a way to screw that up too. Just needs to be simple so people that are tax collectors can do something productive for society, you know? All right. As I like to say, let me put my glasses on and step away from this so I can see what I'm looking at. And we're going to compare it to some of the other Russian vehicles that I have, that I use a slightly different method of painting them. Same green, and I suspect I will like these better than the ones I did before. Yeah, and I'm not surprised that they're darker. Well, they're also sealed, so that does change the color. So I think this is okay as a starting point. These models are extremely rough. And I'm going to repaint the headlights because, you know, they look a little too Cruella de Vil. Speaking of Cruella de Vil, is it me or is everybody this holiday season driving like her? Man, everybody's in a freaking hurry. Everybody's wound up, and I don't live in a big city. People are supposed to be calm here. Very fair price. I tried saying no, but she wouldn't hear it, so I just used the money to get some hobby stuff. Property tax, another gut punch. Get taxed on my income, get sales tax, then I bought my house, then property taxed every year. Yep. $8,000 a year just in property taxes. Holy smokes. You live in the middle of nowhere. Nobody wants to live in Nebraska. Property taxes should be cheap. Yeah. And it's worse than that, Rick. You inspired me, Tony, and I'm off to a mate's house to hobby. Absolutely. It's a social activity, man. Thanks for coming by, man. Don't be a stranger. We're all in this together. This is therapy. This is like going to the shrink, but more fun. It's worse than that, Rick. You pay all that money, and they still can't manage to spend it correctly. They always mismanage the spending, no matter who it is. Gandalf just taken a nosedive in the Khazad Dûm, and the fellowship is held to Lothlorien. Bless you. Second book I read when I was 10 years old. Never read any of them. I have no idea why your rate is so high either. They just send it to Ukraine. If there wasn't Ukraine, they'd still mismanage it. This whole idea that it's not their money, you know, is just stupid. Like, I got called in for jury duty. This is probably 20 years ago. And you can't talk about court cases, but I'm not telling you who the hell it was. And it's not that exciting. Anyways, so I got called in for jury duty, got put on the stand where they're trying to select who the jury is, and they came and asked me questions. And basically the court case was, there was a guy that was, and I may have mentioned this before because I like to talk about this story because it's a perfect example of what's wrong with the human race. This guy had been administered the wrong drugs to him by a pharmacy. This pharmacy gave him the wrong prescription, and instead of helping him, it gave him heart palpitations, and it didn't do anything that was permanent damage, but he did have to do a hospital stay. And he was suing this pharmacy for, wrongdoing and prescribing the wrong stuff, which I agree, they did the wrong thing, right? So they put, me on the stands. Hey, is there anything in this that would, anything in this story, any of these people? No, I don't know any of these people. Is there anything here that would cause you to have a fair trial? And I said, well, I would have a problem if I don't think that this should make it, to have him set up for life. I said, well, he's like, well, what do you mean? I said, I don't think that this guy, because they made an honest mistake. Okay, it's a mistake that they need to correct because it could cause some harm to somebody. But it didn't cause any harm to this guy. So he should have, and don't ask me what my opinion is because I'll freaking tell you what it is. I said, it's he should have all his attorney fees taken care of, his hospital stay, and maybe give him a year's worth of salary. But this idea that this guy in his 40s is never going to have to work again because somebody made an honest mistake that didn't cause him to lose a family member or a limb or half of his body or his weenus fell off or, none of that stuff. It's just not right. And this idea that, he can get millions of dollars for this, it sets this precedent that all of a sudden you're going to have society thinking, I hope I'm going to have this prescription filled and I hope they fill out the wrong one so I don't have to work another day in my life and I'll be rich. It's just like the wrong attitude to have. And, just because it's going to cost us all stuff, it's not like, it's not going to cost us anything. No, there is a snowball effect to everything. So, you got selected for jury duty. I may have to go in the next month. It's actually kind of cool. However, it's extremely inefficient how anything that government touches works. And it doesn't mean that stuff that isn't government works smooth either, because there's lots of private stuff that is just massively incompetent. But it feels good to do a good job. But just to take, something that could take 10 minutes to take 2 hours to do it, that's really frustrating. Let's just hurry it along, Elrond, this is a good photo, but the Fellowship, Aragorn is definitely the best character. Well, I was disappointed in watching the first movie because the only guy that I liked was Sean Bean, and they killed his ass off. Or he killed him. I forget what the hell happened. They got rid of him. And no, he doesn't die in every movie because I've seen a couple things that he doesn't die in. He almost always dies in every movie. Nearly almost dies in every movie. Time to paint some road wheels. And this is the base color that we're going to use for these tanks. We're going to have some numberings and stuff on there. But let's get the road wheels taken care of. And man, this thing caught on the back of this. I think I will never read Lord of the Rings. There's too many things that really happened for me to be interested in Lord of the Rings. And I actually the new Hobbit movies, never watched them. I was going to watch them with my daughter. My daughter 4 years ago or something was old enough to watch Lord of the Rings. Let's do it. Watch the first movie. Okay. Watch the second movie. Okay. And then she's like, Daddy, I don't want to see the third one. This is boring. And I'm like, you're right. Let's not watch them. Let's watch something else. So I never got to see The Hobbit and really have no interest in seeing it. I don't hate them. I just rather watch something else, you know? Lord of the Rings, isn't that just like another Harry Potter thing? Oh, I've tried to watch that Harry Potter movie, the first one. How many times? Twice. And I think the record is make it like 17 minutes. I can't watch it. I can't it just it's not made for me. It's just not it's not worth my time. Damn it, why couldn't this be the later T-34s that don't have any rubber road wheels? Supposedly those were a problem. They'd beat the shit out of they would beat the shit out of everything inside that was mechanical because of the reverberations of metal on metal. The third movie is the best. I've seen it. The daughter just didn't see it. I've seen it. Really missed an epic war in the third movie. No, I saw it. Are you setting out for a beating? The books haven't even been out 70 years yet. You know, you gotta wait at least 80 before the spoilers. No, I don't hate the books. I got better shit to read. You know? I got better shit to read. I've had many people tell me that the Star Wars books are really good. I got better shit to read than, make believe crap. The movies are okay, and wise person once said, "I can't be into everything." I hadn't said that in a while. It's true. I was thinking painting road wheels was going to be a lot more annoying than it actually is. Maybe if you're not used to like painting buttons or boots or something like that, you have to paint a bunch of guys on it. That's a lot worse than painting road wheels. It's actually pretty forgiving. And if you do mess it up, remember these guys are going to get a dry brush of dirt and stuff over this. So there's that. You owe me rollies for that line. Yeah. Well, you can just take it out of those taxes you're not reporting. And just call it even. Actually think The Lord of the Rings is on a list of books you must read before you die. That seems kind of totalitarian. You got to read these books before you die. Lord of the Rings, the one where the Dumbledore loses his lightsaber during the fight with the Klingon. Exactly. And I just don't like Star Trek at all. I didn't grow up with it. The uniforms aren't cool. If it was like maybe space combat, like the ships fighting each other, that'd be cool, but just not my thing, you know? The reimagined Battlestar Galactica is great. Space combat and epic story. Well, after being made to play that freaking board game and hating that board game, because of all the board games that I've played, there's only like 5 I'll never play again, and that's one of them. I don't think I'll be watching I don't think I'll be watching that series anytime soon. I didn't watch it as a kid because it wasn't available in the area see, I would have been like 9 or something like that when that series was out. So I think that would have been, ideal to watch it. The problem is that it just wasn't playing in the areas that we lived in. That's the only reason I didn't watch it. I didn't mind space shit when I was a kid. Kids are into space stuff. Not a fan of hidden traitors in the game. There you go, Rick. Me neither. I mean, I don't want to be forced to play a dick. If I want to be a dick, let me be a dick. But not like, okay, you have to be a... I don't like convincing people. I don't like pretending to be a liar. I don't. I'm not a liar in real life. I really dislike people lying to me. It's like, there's only one thing that be worse than someone lying to you. Someone saying that you said something you didn't. Oh, that's like pistols at 3 paces. No. Because not only are you a liar, but you're making me into a liar as well. No. Lego really took the mickey out of a lot of films and books and got away with it as they were using logo people, not... You mean Lego people, not actors. Lego... They took the minute a lot of films and books. But the Lego movies? Me no comprende. And I'm not a fan of rewatching movies. I don't care how good a movie it is. I mean, I love Raiders of the Lost Ark. I've only seen the movie maybe 4 times. Maybe. In its entirely. Maybe 4 times. I just don't rewatch things. That one's completely done. Okay, cool. These guys have the sprocket wheel on the back. How I think all modern battle tanks have. Or most of them have them on the back. I think in World War II, they mostly had them in the front. I think so. I think that's right. I think this idler's at the front. I could be wrong. Lego Batman was my son's favorite film. Batman's favorite line, any color you want as long as it comes in black or something gray. Yeah, that's actually in the movie, I think. Does it come in black? Yeah, I actually liked, and I've played a fair amount of the Lego video games because, they're family friendly. The problem with a lot of the Lego stuff is it's just really poorly written. Like, they look good. I just think the stuff could be, much, much better if you get the, better writing. But, as consumers, we want a good story, we want a good this, we want the other thing. The guy making it just wants to make a buck most of the time. So like, yeah, whatever. Let's just get it out there. Just send it out. Send it. Lego Batman. I wish Batman would execute people. I wish he would use guns and that's what was the movie? Was it Batman versus Superman or Justice League, or I think it was Batman versus Superman. There's a dream sequence. The Batman's doing this weapons deal in the desert. And he ends up using freaking pistols akimbo. Plus he's like an armored ninja with pistols akimbo. That's what I like. Executes people. Not just random folks. People okay, this guy's never gonna this guy's always gonna get away from justice of the law. Let's just freaking kill him. Okay? This guy's not a curable, let's just kill him. I have no problem with that. Go back in time, kill baby Hitler. Could you do it? I could. Every time. Sorry, baby Hitler. But we know how you're going to turn out. You're going to be a dick. So, let's get rid of you now. An armored ninja. Absolutely. Kind of a morbid take. The problem with that is you never know who or what would have replaced Hitler. That could have been far worse. I'd take my chances. There's some things that you just need to take your chances on. You kind of look at the odds and would you eliminate Hitler and make sure he's not born? Yes. Because odds are it would have been better. Just like I'd take my chances. Let's let the Germans win the First World War. Well, other than let it not happen, obviously. But, I think the Germans win the First World War. We have a better scenario than what happened. There's a lot more people alive, that's for sure. That's always one of my fantasies, that alternative reality. What would have happened? Well, they would have had to win in 1914 because, after 4 years of that, whoever's going to be the victor is going to put bad concessions on the loser, and that's ultimately what kind of drove everything. Everybody watch the All Quiet on the Western Front now? It's only been out for over a month. I actually thought it was better than I was expecting it to be. Which doesn't mean anything, but I don't exactly think it's a movie I'd watch a second time. Of course, considering I don't watch things, that's not really saying anything, but No, you don't have the platform it's on, or really don't want to get it. Fair enough. We've just had that platform forever and don't really watch much out of it. I actually don't really like watching television. You just sit there and just kind of turns out the same whether you watch it or not. Any of you guys are a fan of that series Black Mirror? I think it's pretty ingenious. Many of the episodes. They had that one mini movie that literally had a choose your own adventure in it. I think it happened like 4 or 5 times throughout the movie. Is you could you could have different. I don't know how they did it, but there was different options on your controller to have the character choose different choices, and they only made one of those, so it was like a choose your own adventure movie, and it kind of worked. All right, I need to take a short bathroom break, and I will be right back, which is why it says this. Okay. You got your television on, but I have it on YouTube and an ambient fireplace is on. Don't care for television. What is that? Like that's like Peppa the Pig on crack, Rick. Christmas elves versus Rivendell elves. Who wins? Elf on a Shelf versus Galadriel. That sounds like that's Steven Tyler's daughter. What about Elf on the Shelf versus Mensch on the Bench? Who wins? Oh, I guess I need to put this on. Good Lord, I need to talk to my producer. That guy's just not on the ball. I think the problem with my producer is he identifies as a tree. Oh, she played Arwen. Well, who the hell is Galadriel? Speaking of which, Galadriel, or something that sounds like that, they announced, I don't get excited about video games very often. Kate Blanchett. Okay. Not a fan of Kate Blanchett. I don't get excited about video games very often, but they did announce when Diablo 4 is coming out. And cute of them to, it comes out on June 6th, 2023. So it's 6, 6, 2 times 3 is another 6. For those of you that are superstitious about stuff like that. I was actually at a store the other day, and the total came up to 666, and the person at the counter, this lady, was like, "Oh, that's a bad number." I'm like, "It's just a number." I'm like, "There's people are animals. They don't need a devil to blame for all the animalistic stuff that they do." She was hot in that Thor movie. I didn't recognize it was her, so I would kind of. You have a friend who's absolutely excited for Diablo 4. It's me! I'm the one! I get excited because I played them all, and I don't have a gaming family, but we all play Diablo. And we play couch co-op, which that means we share one screen on a TV with multiple controllers. So, and it actually, I think, plays better on the console than it does on the computer. So yeah, I am a Diablo fan. Ever since the first one. And each version of it has become better. I'm not one of those that thinks that Diablo 2 is better than 3. Yeah, it must be those drugs you're on. Yeah, I'm a big Diablo fan. I'm really a pretty big Blizzard fan. I think pretty much everything they touch, as long as it's something that I'm interested in what the subject matter is. Like, I never cared for StarCraft. And I don't care for, what's that, Overwatch or whatever thing? I don't give a shit about that. But I like Blizzard stuff. I like Rockstar stuff. Okay. So we got the road wheels done on that. Time for the tracks. And we're going to treat these just like German tracks. We're going to use that. They're rusty looking, but they don't need to be the color of rust. I've made great progress with the T-34s. Have I? I don't know. Man, these things had a lot of flash on them. And dangerous flash, because these have a high percentage of lead in them. And I'm creeped out by it. I'm really pretty creeped out by it. But, I don't think that's going to get me. You got roped into playing Destiny 2. Nah, I saw the first Destiny, doesn't appeal to me. And I quit after 2 days. It's repetitive, and I'm not a gamer. I like a very select few types of games. Outside of those, I don't play. Do you play World of Warcraft? I did for about a year. And I didn't realize that to find better shit, you have to form a group, and that's just a pain. I don't want to socialize with people that I don't know in real life. You guys don't count. I'm just talking about in a game, where you're dealing with some 7-year-old with with a freaking 30-year-old mouth. I don't argue with people online and shit like that. That's just a waste of time. Now I know people that do like to do that and get a thrill out of somehow getting in arguments with them, but I'm not. I don't have that troll gene. I'm not really interested in that. It's not worth the calories you're going to burn to do that nonsense in. So I don't really want to play with people that are 4 foot tall with a 6 foot mouth. Little snotlings that they're 8 years old and their parents let them play a mature game because they don't want to watch them. And then you wonder why they do the stuff they do 10 years later. Little snotlings, yeah. Do you have any plans for Italian armor for Barbarossa? Absolutely not. Not doing Italians on the Eastern Front. No, I can use Italians for the desert, but I have no desert infantry. So I actually have a lot of Barbarossa infantry. We get some of these vehicles done, we'll switch back to figures, but I'm not in a hurry to go back to painting 15s. I'm not. I'm enjoying reading about World War II stuff, new stuff that I didn't know. I'm enjoying it a lot. So no, Italian armor on the Eastern Front. Whew. There's a bad idea. One of the appeals of doing the desert is to do some of those counter scheme vehicles and use the correct colors, not that sky blue, that everybody uses. Am I planning to do Romanians? No. Nope. I'm just under 6 foot with a 12-foot mouth and the ability to back up every word I say. I said, boy's got a big mouth on him. Nope. Just Germans and Russians. Not even any SS. No plans to do SS. Romanians. Oh no. Now, I have something I've had for 20 years, and I've never messed with it, and I think its time is coming to mess with it. And that is, I have a set of some Russian buildings out of paper. There's, I forget what the name of the manufacturer is. They're still in business. They still go to Historicon. It's something not very creative like Paper Terrain or something like that. But it's full color on cardstock Russian front buildings, and I've never built them. And they're just out of cardstock, so they're almost, two-dimensional or whatever. But before I go and actually buy some buildings and paint them, I think I'm going to try to build these and see if I'm happy with them. But I've had them for like 20 years and never put them together. So their time's a coming. My toxic trait is eating another cookie when I should have stopped 6 cookies ago. Yeah, cookies can get addictive. I can't buy them. Chessmen. I like chessmen or pecan sandies. Pecan sandies with vanilla bean ice cream is excellent. Finns would be interesting. It's almost the same as Germans. Could go for some cookies. Got a huge amount of chocolate chip cookies. Any sugar cookies that fries. Animal over send. Oh, here we go. Here's for the homeless people. Bring in the homeless wench. Is she more homeless or like a crack addict? And the correct answer is probably yes. Winter War. Oh, you can't get away with not doing swastikas then. And do those little, the Finnish swastikas. The crooked spider. Crooked spiders. Well, it's been 3 days now, and I haven't heard from that one vendor that I placed an order with. That, of course, after placing an order with them, I hear all kinds of horror stories on the internet. Oh, you should never buy from them. And I haven't heard from them, so I'm afraid I'm going to have to call in the wife. See what her opinion is on it. I think I should just contact the credit card and just say, nope. Because you can't even contact them to say, hey, cancel my order, because they don't respond to anything. Bastards! And then, of course, after I put the order in, I found out that these people are horrible. Luckily, it's not some amount of money that, that I'm, broke, that I'm, destroyed if I don't get it back, I don't think it's going to come to that. It's just a major hassle. I'd just like to hear from them and have them send me the stuff that they supposedly have advertised that they have. But I think it's probably going to be a fat chance on that one. Okay, that's the base color on that one. Let's just do the other ones. Anyone who gets offended that I have a simple finger gesture to let you know where you stand. War Games Foundry is having a nice sale. It's about time I put in my order for Lion Rampant. I don't know. It's this time of year. People have trouble shipping things on time this time of year. I even had a problem with Amazon. Ended up not being a big problem, but it was delayed a couple days. And Amazon notoriously will say This will come in on Friday and it shows up a day early. Or even earlier than that. But it'll all be straightened away in a few days after the holiday season. I've gotten really good at like saying, oh, I wonder if I'll order this, put the stuff in the cart, look at how much it's costs, find out when it's going to get here, and then, okay, I'm done. And then just never purchase it. You know, the reality is if it's something that I had to have to finish a project, I would have just gotten it, but been thinking more and more, I'd rather just build model kits and play hex and counter games. I don't want to ever work on a miniature again that I have to get done by a certain time. F you. I'm not doing that. It'll get done when I damn well please get it done. You know, I got a Japanese tank. If I feel like doing it next, I'll do it next. You know? I'm not going to do it next. But I'm just saying that I'm not doing that little bastard next. Yeah, but no face-to-face game in the rest of the year for me. Cards just didn't line up. I wasn't available on Monday because my wife was out of town, and I don't want to go game and leave my daughter here. That's not cool. I'm available Monday, but apparently Cletus isn't, so. And then they're available the 26th, but I'm out of town on the 26th. Going up to the Big Apple. So. No big deal. You seem like you have hit your wit's end at paying stuff for tournaments or events, etc. Yep, I'm going to do shit when I want to. Yep. Everybody's been doing that the whole time. Now it's my turn. Yeah, it's been really difficult to kind of get together with the local folks. What happens is they play on a day that is not ideal for me. And that person spends all day playing games because they have the whole day off. And so they don't really put a priority on whether or not they have to play in the evening because they've already played for 8 or 9 hours. And I don't put a huge priority on meeting another day of the week because if I really want to get a game in, I'll play a computer game. So, you know, it kind of goes both ways. You know, I'm not really starving for human interaction. So, it's all good, you know. If you miss 1 week, it's not that big of a deal. Just got tired of bending over backwards for everybody, and then people didn't have the decency to show up at a show. So, you know, I'll do what I want to do when I want to do it. I don't think I'm going to put any of these games on at a show. That way I can pick who's in the game. I don't want some random person that I don't feel like playing with my miniatures and destroying them, you know. Take the stance that it's the hobby, so I'll only do the hobby when I'm in the mood. I don't like to overdo the hobby. Yep. Do what you want to do with it. It doesn't pay enough to have other people tell you how to do it. I mean, I don't tell other people how to play. You play whatever the hell you want, you know? I don't care. Don't bother me none. You have the possibility to game with some people, but the gas prices are so bad, I refuse to justify playing games and paying high gas prices right now. Have them come to your place. Or not. Gas prices aren't going to come down. So you prepared to never game with people again? Well, there's some people I never want to game with again, so, you know. I don't care what the price of gas is. There's some people I just don't ever want to play a game with. And it's not very many. It might be maybe 5. No room for people to game. You can always play something DBA sized. You play it on somebody's lap. Well, if you move your collection of posters and magazines featuring that one actress you like so much off the table, maybe people would have room. I have room in my hobby room that I can solo game, but not enough for more than one other person at best. You know, that's my favorite kind of gaming, one other person. That's my favorite hangout, is one other person at a time. I'm not one of those people, hey, let's all go out to eat. So you go out in a group, party of 12. You know, why? You can't talk to anybody other than maybe 3 other people. So why have that many people go out together? You know damn well you're not going to be able to talk to everybody. This one's done. I'm just going to take this thing off. There. Now they're all the same. Done. Catherine Winnick. Still up on that, huh? I was going to go back and rewatch that where I left off that series, because obviously I didn't finish it, and the second series is just absurd, so I don't think it's worth my time. I'd rather play a video game than watch a show. I like making decisions, even if things go sideways. I feel like I got an impact. You know, it's funny. I can't think of any actor, movie star that I'd care to meet. I just don't. I just don't think that much of them. Some are cuter than others, but still, I'm not really impressed by people's fame or money. You're going to order some photo etch rails for 1350 Buckley class destroyer. Buckley's a destroyer escort. I ordered, but I was watching a model builder unbox a kit I had years ago, but destroyed it and had photo etch rails. And so I went and found them, and now I have one less thing I need to get. Yeah, I can't think of one famous person I'd want to meet. Now, some YouTube people might be fun playing games with. I think it'd be fun to play a game with Lindy Beige. I think Lindy Beige would be a hoot. But I wouldn't call that a famous person, you know. Do you know why the Buckley class destroyer escorts didn't have main guns and just had 20mm guns? Some of them did. They might have had some taken off, but I think they had 3s or 4s. I think some of them were at weren't some of them at that battle where they got attacked by the Yamato or whatever, and they sank some destroyers or whatever. Whatever that one was called. Action off Samar. There might have been some Buckleys there, but normally Buckleys are like anti-submarine work, and that doesn't interest me a whole lot. I like naval warfare, but the anti-submarine stuff just kind of not really what I'm interested in. God, I can't be into everything. I think they had 3-inch guns. Never had any miniatures of them. I know the British DEs had 4s. Need to figure out how to make 1 through 150 scale depth charges. Don't they come with any? Certainly they got to supply some with them. That would just be uncivilized. Okay, that side's done. This side's not done at all. You held up the hull of Buckley to the hull of the hood. Man, the hood dwarfs the destroyer like no one's business. Absolutely. They didn't supply depth charges with a kit. Wow, that's a dick move. There's only one thing I don't like about the hood. There's only one thing I don't like about it. It never wore a camouflage scheme. I'm not saying it needs to have one, but it's nice that it has an option to do that, you know. One of my favorite British battleships is the Rodney. And Rodney did not have a camouflage scheme when she was hunting Bismarck, but she did later on. So if you want to paint her in that crazy camouflage scheme, you can. If you can paint her, you know, if you want to paint her in the early war gray, you can do that one as well. Hood, gray it is. That's all you got. So 35th photo etch tank shell round pens I can use for the tops of depth charges. They don't make them aftermarket? The same manufacturer? I'd just sell the model. That's like something I wouldn't know what to do with it. I just like either make it with no depth charges or can't figure out what I'm going to do. Buy another kit. That's what got me into trouble in the early 90s. I don't know what I should do. Oh, I'll buy a different kit and start working on that one. Have that one incomplete as well. No, the days of doing stupid shit like that for me are over. That's really unsatisfying. Have a bunch of unfinished stuff. Well, we almost made it. One more day and another week is in the books. The weekend is at hand. Yeah, it's not TGIF just yet. Well, the wife comes back tomorrow evening, so I thought I would have gotten a lot more hobby stuff done, but it's not like I can't do that stuff while she's here, but I'll have to get some thin brass sheet, cut it out, roll it in a rounded shape, make the charges out of that. I'd just get another kit. I'd be overwhelmed by that. I'd tell you that right now. I would be totally overwhelmed. I wouldn't know what to do. You know, if you had to have depth charges on there. Buy another kit with depth charges and 350 scale and replace them. I couldn't do something like that would just consume so much time that it isn't worth it. Unless you have a lot of free time. All right, we got to do the rusty tailpipes. Scratch building, things like depth charges. Yeah, go upload a picture on your Facebook page. You need more pictures on your Facebook page, anyways. All right. We got to do one more shade of brown on the tracks. Let's go ahead and get the Nuln Oil start working its magic. We're going to darken these little vents here on the back of the tank. Still pretty early, eh? Might have some time to play Gates of Hell. It's nice not having to use enamel for this. Now, it probably would work better if it was enamel, but then, you got to coat it in something, and it's just too many steps. This works pretty well for what it is. And we'll still do some highlighting of some other edges a little bit. We want to get these to the point where we can do the numbering on them and so forth. Although these tanks don't have very much numbering on them per se. They're almost devoid of markings. Yeah, this cough that just won't go away. Whooping cough. And then, of course, they'll all have a little headlight on there. There's the old... Is it even that noticeable using the other brown? I'm just wasting my time doing that. Let me see. What color we use on the BT anyways? I don't think I use another brown. I'm not going to put another brown color on it. I'm going to leave it at that, and we'll try to brush the brown colors on it. And then put some, some silver spots where it's been worn, but not a whole lot. Okay. We need to figure out who's who. Do we have any stretch sprue left for the machine guns? I bet I'm going to have to make some more. Well, this might actually work. Nice thing about if you're doing Russian tanks, you don't have to do a lot of radio antennas. Let's cut this one right here. Let's cut this in half. One there. One there. One there. Okay, that should suffice on these three. Yeah, I'm actually going to put it on the painting paper here because that way I can control it a little bit more. Should be able to fit in there. Yep. So this had a piece of flash that the barrel was connected to here, and then there was this almost like this divider that went straight to the hull, and it was this huge piece of flash that you'd have to paint the whole bottom section like it wasn't there, almost like a 2mm miniature or something like that. That like the Pico armor, some of their stuff has like that. It was all connected. It just didn't look right. I mean, these are big enough scale things that you don't need to have something like that just protruding. Just doesn't look right. All right, got 3 machine gun barrels and we can paint those later. All right, let's take a look at these turret markings. And we're almost certainly going to have to use helping hands for this. And we'll put one of the Model 40 ones on here first. Now, let me go to one of my favorite sites, which is called Henk of Holland. And Henk of Holland has all kinds of stuff. Master modeling military vehicles, 172nd to 176th. If you go on there, he has a review of all the plastic kits and accessories. This is resin. No, I'm looking for the plastic ones. 3D printed items. No, I'm overshot it. This is resin. Figures. All right, this is sometimes difficult to find on this website. Manufacture of resin and accessories. No. 3D printed. No. Plastic kits. All right, we want to go to UM. Or Dragon, actually. Let's go to the UM one first. As soon as I can find where the hell my cursor went. There it is. Unimodels. Click on that. And to go down, there's the model 1940 T-34. These guys have some beautiful... one of my favorite vehicles of all time, how it looks, is a BT-7M. Just really sleek vehicle. It might be a piece of shit, okay? There's no doubt about that. It looks good, though. It is a good-looking tank. It is a good looking tank. BT7M. Come on, keep scrolling. T-34, 43, 44. Come on. Model 42, the flamethrower one. Man, they make a bunch of stuff. Here's the model 1940. I'm going to right click, save image as. This one only has two options on this vehicle. It has a 25, a white 25 which fits on the hull. It must be the Dragon one that has a bunch of save a copy of these decals too. Okay. Then we'll go back. So it must be Dragon that has a bunch of them. So they make a model 1940. These guys make a ton of stuff. Model 42. Here it is. T-34 Model 40. Now, one of these, here's the decal sheet. Shit. Okay, here is the breakdown of all of the freaking decals. Oh, this is crazy. This is crazy, the amount of decals that are on here in this Dragon kit. You literally can build 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You could build like 20 different vehicles. I like these. I like these. That's what we're going to use. They're going to be white numbers. And I'm going to try to paint them. Now, with that said, let me see what Soviet decals I have already. I know I got red stars. And we got some numerals here. What's in here? This is from a T-34 kit. Here's a 12. Those probably won't work. They're old SU decals, which means they're going to explode as soon as I put them in water. That's funny because they're the same ones as well. They're different, but there's that silly number 12 again. What else do I have? That may be it. That may be all I have. So I've got some numbers here. I think I'm going to save these and I'm going to try hand painting them. You posted some pictures on Facebook. Let's check it out. Oh, okay. Here's your Mark IV tank. It came up right, like, immediately, right on my page. What scale is that? It's got those little, like, bicycle wheels behind it. It looks pretty good. Yeah, just gotta weather it. Man, those things were ugly, weren't they? Things had what, a couple 6-pounders, 57mm guns in them? That one's weathered. That looks pretty good. Ambush scheme on a Koenig's Tiger. Yeah, I think the ambush scheme looks good. I'm a fan of that. Man, the mouse control on this touchpad is touchy. Let's look at the side view here on the King Tiger. Yeah. What do you have that weathered with? Do you have like I did way back in the day. I ended up doing, I think it was a Mark III-M that I did from Tamiya. And I got this idea that, hey, Tamiya makes this stuff called smoke that's basically like known oil. And I just ended up brushing that all over the place. I ended up brushing that stuff all over the place. And it actually looked okay. I had to use something to take the shine off of it. But now I should be able to go in my files section. Actually, we can put these numbers somewhere here in the corner. We just need to pick an image that's not being seen, like this one. Okay? And we're going to replace it with the one that has the decals. As soon as I find it. All right, let's go real slow. Here we go. Open. Done. Now, make that decal big. And this is all the decals that comes in the Dragon Armor Kit of the 1940 T-34. That is insane. That is insane. That's insane. I like the 166 and the 169. I did like the heavy mud. But that's one of those things that would be a nightmare for me to do. Because I'd be like, it doesn't look right. Do it again. It doesn't look right. Doesn't look right, you know. Put them all on. Wrong answer. I like the 174, the 169, and the 166. That's what I'm going to do. How many red stars do I have? Man, I don't have that many. Do I have enough to? I like the look of the little red star on there. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and get and prepare to put. I don't want them all the same. This stuff actually smells good. Whoa! Do not tip over. I don't want to do that cleanup today. Or any day. Okay. This area up here, we're going to put some gloss coat there. Some gloss coat there. Let's just do it on all of them, even though we may end up not using it. All right, rinse that off. That's a hell of a lot easier than gloss coating the entire model. All right, let's put this thing back on. We don't want this future. This stuff is a pain in the ass to find, by the way. This Pledge floor care. Oh, you can't see it because of the decal. This is a pain in the ass to find. That was actually real dirt mixed with brown paint and white glue. Wow. Did you clean that dirt, or there's a little creatures living in it? I don't want to know. Sometimes it's better not to know. Sometimes it's better not to know. All right. Now we got to get crazy. Now we got to get crazy. Let's get some white out here. Who white? Who white? That's who. Oh snap, this thing's dead. Ditch. So many of these have a white bottom on them, and it's not the right one. There it is. Now, we're going to need a brush that we have a whole lot of faith in. Like this bastard right here. We can make this smaller, I bet. You sifted dirt, let it sit for a while before I used it. Make sure the dirt doesn't walk away. If it does, that's not a good sign. All right, so we're going to put 3 digits over here. 1, 6, and a 9, 1, 6, 6. Okay, so we're going to start with the middle number. That way you make sure that they're centered. And it's okay if it's a little watery. We want to get good flow on this thing. And I don't know if I can get this to a height I'm going to be comfortable with. What's the 6 look like? Right. We're just sketching this out with a paintbrush. Okay, so we just sketched out a 166 here. Is your view backwards? I've never had to alternate it, but it's backwards on the screen. Soviets like to put the numbers about in that position. Okay, and there's no point filling that in until we know that we got the other side about in the same place. So same thing, we're going to start with the middle 6. Yes, it's backwards. Why is it backwards? Mother effer. All right. I've never had to change this. They probably did some kind of an update, and now I've got to switch the image. All right, let's do this. Nope, that didn't do it. Nope. Anti-flicker, no. Nope. 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 I don't know why this is backwards. It's starting to do this nonsense again, just like it did before. For the longest time, it was... Let's see. I don't know how to change it. The same way I've always done it is it wasn't backwards before. Maybe it's a function. Yeah, it's a function, all right. Maybe it's a function inside this droid cam thing. Autofocus, quality, white balance. What's this EL? Exposure lock? No. White balance? No. Autofocus? No. No. Yeah. I don't know that I can fix it. I don't know that I can fix it. That's annoying as shit. Okay, let's try this. Let's go ahead and disconnect from that. That'll freeze that screen. Settings. Let's see. Now, I don't know why it's backwards. Well, if I keep fucking with that, I'm not going to have enough time to finish painting it, so I apologize. I started this on the same way I've done it every time, and this is why I hate technology, because they always have to fuck with things and change it. I'm going to blame it on Fuckerberg. Oh, man. The 6 needs to go about right here. And that's pretty close. We just need to clean it up a little bit. And honestly, I think I'm going to clean it up by taking it off this thing. I've got a little bit more control this way. And one thing I like to do is I like to grab the barrel by the end, so you end up wearing off the paint, and it actually ends up inadvertently looking like the smoke from the barrel being fired. It's just like a freebie. Just a freebie. All right, same thing on this side. All right, now let's take some of that green. We should have plenty of it over here. And let's clean that up. All right, we got a 166 here and a 166 here. Now, I actually like how this side looks better. We're going to thicken this one up a tiny little bit. And then that spot's dried enough to we can put a couple little red stars on there. See what this thing looks like. And then clean it up a tiny little bit of green. And we should be good. $166, $166. Now, yep, that's dry. we have any water left? Probably already evaporated. Yep, be right back. I'd hate to challenge you to paint 100 Years War Herald around 15 millimeter seals. You would be tough to beat. Well, before my disheartening with 15 millimeter, with the 15 millimeter game, I did have 100 Years War French to do, and I'd like to think that at some point I'm going to do it because of the heraldry. It doesn't. I think I'd be able to pull it off and be happy with it. I love doing heraldry. Just not building any new armies for that stuff right now. And no time soon either. Not in a hurry. But some people, the heraldry turns them off. It turns me on. I'm a big fan of heraldry. Heraldry. Yes, that. This is the 41. So I need to grab one that has. And it doesn't even have a weathering on it, so we gotta got all this stuff in place before we do the other stuff. This guy's started to move yet? Yep. I think I need to move this. Over a little bit. The thing I like about decals, it's fun to kind of move these little guys around. If you need to. It's very forgiving. Okay. How nice of you providing Amy a point. Yeah, you can't hit it from head on, though. Yeah, it doesn't look bad. That's about all the numbers it's going to have on it. They weren't painted very heavily. So, obviously it doesn't have any weathering on it, so we've got that going for it. But Mr. Steve, welcome. Getting there. Getting there. I think we're going to call this one for the night. Especially since I find it very annoying that all of a sudden my video is reversed. With me doing nothing different. All of a sudden it needs to be a needy bitch. So. But yeah, we're going to do... we're probably going to do another one of these with the 160... What was the other number? 169? And probably not do the red stars. You got to mix stuff up a little bit. And a couple of these have... All they have is just numbers down here. Which is strange to have it on the whole, but... There's lots of different varieties you have to make these things look interesting. I'm not going to put a lot of accoutrements on them. Actually, I'm not going to put any. I don't think I am. And, I mean, I've got about 9 of each of these. So, we can do lots of different versions of them. They only made about 300 of this model 1940. Shy of 400 of them. So, they didn't make very many of them. But these were the first ones they encountered, and they were a pain in the butt. Am I going to use slogans? I am, but slogans really weren't used on T-34 Model 40s. That wasn't until later on. I haven't seen any, they used them on this stuff. Yeah, they are going to be slogans, and I'm going to hand paint a few. I've got some decals for some, but I can hand... the hand painting isn't an issue, hand painting. It's hand painting enough that it looks similar on both sides. That's the thing. And, with a little bit of patience, it's definitely doable. So, but anyways, we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up. And probably going to play some Call to Arms off front. So we'll probably switch to that in a few minutes. And we'll catch you guys next time. Probably not tomorrow, but next time. And probably not Saturday morning either. I've got stuff I got to do on the first thing in the morning. But we'll see how that all plays out. Anyways, you guys have a good night. And we'll catch